Next, we will really want to welcome our speaker for today, Herlina, to deliver her amazing and breakthrough speech by using her own way. Let's welcome Herlina for her project speech and also with the title 7 times a charm. 7 times a charm. Herlina.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster. I was in my 4th year in my uni days when I decided to apply for a driving license. I thought it would be a breakthrough in my life if I can get the driving license before I graduated. I'm going to enter my 5th year later and I'm going to work. I'm going to graduate and work, and I need a car for that. And of course, I need my driving license by that time. That is all I can think about, getting my driving license before I graduated. It was actually during my internship term when I wanted to apply for the license. I was stationed at my hometown in Malacca. So I really thought that this is really a good opportunity for me. I signed up for a driving school nearby my house, my parents' house. My driving instructor was an old and kind man. He taught me a lot on how to really actually drive a car and what is actually the important parts in the car that I really need to know and all that. Mind you, back then, when I was actually trying to get my license, it was all using manual cars, and there was no automatic driving license yet. So imagine that I have to drive a manual car, and the biggest fear of driving a manual car is when your engine shut off at the traffic lights or at junction, right? Somehow, this kind uncle has managed to actually taught me a lot on how to drive a car with proper technique. And after a few lessons, he decided that now is actually the time for me to take the test for you to get to the driving license. So he signed me up for a driving test. There were 2 driving tests in order for me to get the driving license. The first test is driving on the road test, and the second test is parking test. For my first test, driving on the road, I was very happy that time because finally I get to take the test, and now I can get it. It is closer to me to this driving license. Just once I entered the test car, there was already a JPJ officer sitting next to me. He didn't say anything. He just looked at me, and the only sentence that he actually mentioned is, I'm going to give you 3 chances for your engine to shut off. After your 3rd failure, the engine shut off after the 3rd time, you can consider yourself failing the test. That was the only sentence coming out from his mouth. I was so perplexed. I mean, I'm not expecting like some kind of a good luck wish coming from him, but to say that to me, and then during my first test was like, oh my God, I was so nervous. And then I started the car and started driving. And then on the first traffic lights, I was trying to get the gear to the neutral state, and somehow the engine shut off. And in my mind, I just screamed, 1! Because it meant I have only 2 more chances. Now I started to get really nervous. And for your information, during that time when I was having the test, it was actually done at one of the most heaviest traffic road in Malacca. And it was during lunchtime. My driving instructor, whenever we have training, all that, he always brought me to a very quiet place, remote places, so that it is easier for me to concentrate. But now, during this test day, I have to do it on this road, a very heavy traffic road. My nervousness just gone off the roof. Somehow now I felt all cold and all that. And now I have to go to the second traffic lights. When I just got to the second traffic lights, now with everything, my body is cold and trying to shift the gear and all that, and somehow engine shut off. 2! And I was like, now I have only 1 more chance. I had to get it right. But somehow, because I was a nervous wreck, I couldn't actually think of anything. When it got to the 3rd traffic light, the engine shut off again. Immediately, I know that I have actually failed this test. So I had just, this JPG instructor, he was just shaking his head and just putting something in a form. I know immediately that's a fail for me. And then just drive back to the training test. Once reaching the training center, my driving instructor was kind of surprised that I failed the test, but he said, it's okay, Herlina. Probably because you are nervous. You just have to pass this parking test and we will do the driving on the road test next week. I had to calm my mind, okay, just this test and I'm going to pass and I'm going to just retake the driving on the road. For parking tests, there were like 4 tests. First is driving up to a box. Second is side parking. The third is reverse parking. And the fourth one is actually parking on a hill. I have to pass all these tests. First test, flying colors. I just, it was just parking to a box. Second one, okay, the thing about side parking is there were like 4 poles that you need to remember which one that you need to check when you're actually about to turn your car. However, during my excitement and all that to turn my car, I missed one of the poles and I hit that pole. Suffice to say, I failed this parking test. So that meant on the first day of my my driving test, I failed both tests. And then when I went out from the car, my driving instructor just came to me and said, it's okay, Herlina. Probably because you are nervous and all that, you just have to retake both tests next week and then you will get your driving license. I said, okay, because probably I'm still fresh, right, from this test. So probably next week I will be better. And the week after that, fortunately, I passed driving on the road test. Now it's only the parking test that is actually in between me and my license. Unfortunately, I failed my parking test again. This is already the second time. So you know what 7 times mean, right? It finally took me 7 times for me to get to my driving license. 7 times. Each time I failed, I felt very demotivated. I just cried and screamed myself out because I couldn't understand. I did everything right and yet I still failed. But did I tell myself to stop and not take the test again? No, never did I do that. I know that each time I just have to motivate myself. Whatever it is, you just have to picture yourself that you are driving a car, driving to wherever you want with a valid driving license. And that is the only motivation that I had to myself. Looking at it now, I feel immense sense of pride whenever I renew my license every year, because I know it took me 7 times to get to this driving test, to get to this driving license. No matter how many times I fail, I know I have to take some time to actually calm myself and gather my spirit. That no matter how much I have failed, that it is only between that failure and to my success. I have to let go of my failures for me to embrace my success. And look at me now, feeling very proud because of this much coveted driving license. I get it. So I believe that, we all have to embrace all the failures in order for us to get to the success. That's all from me. Over to you, Toastmaster Minho.